In a sample of 300 students, 68% say they own a tablet. Compute a 97% confidence interval for the true percent of students who own a tablet. To construct the confidence interval for the true percentage is the same as to construct the confidence interval for the proportion. And so this is the confidence interval for P. To construct the confidence interval for P, we take the point estimator P hat, and then we add and subtract the margin of error, where this margin of error is computed using the critical value z star that correspond to the confidence level times the square root of p hat times 1 minus p hat over n. In this case, n, the sample size is given 300. P hat, the sample proportion is given 68% or 0.68. 1 minus p hat is therefore 1 minus 0.68 or 0.32. The corresponding z critical value that correspond to the 97% can be looked up using the table, the z table, or the normal calculator because it is the z-score. And so, instead of using the table, we will use the calculator. In this case, we will use the free StatCrunch normal calculator. With the StatCrunch normal calculator, we want to click between because the confidence interval is the interval between. For the z-score, we need to use the standard normal calculator with the mean equals 0 and the standard deviation equals 1. We want to leave the two boxes on the left and on the right of the X symbol blank, and we want the area in between to be 0.97 in this case because it is a 97%. And then we hit compute. The corresponding z-score that showed up is 2.1701. Rounded to 2 decimal places, we will use z equals 2.17, and that would be the z-star that we need to use in this case for the confidence interval, the 97% confidence interval. Now that we have everything, we just simply put them in and compute the lower bound and the upper bound. P hat is 0.68 plus or minus. The critical value is 2.17 times the square root of p hat is 0.68 and 1 minus p hat is 0.32 over n is 300. There are two computations here. One is 0.68 minus 2.17 times the square root of 0.68 times 0.32 divided by 300. Make sure 300 is still underneath the square root. Another computation is 0.68 plus 2.17 times the square root of 0.68 times 0.32 over 300. And then we use a calculator to input the entire expression both separately to get the lower bound and the upper bound for the confidence interval. The calculator should give us 0.62 rounded to 2 decimal places for the lower bound and 0.74 for the upper bound. In percentage, this is 62% and 74%. Thus, the 97% confidence interval we're looking for is 62%, 74% with the comma separate the two numbers with a set of parentheses around it. We say that we are 90% confident that the true percent of students who own a tablet is between 62% and 74%. What this means is that if we were to construct 100 confidence interval using the same procedure, 97 of those intervals will capture the true percent.